Folks, it's time for Monday Night Football in Australia. More importantly, it's time for the round of 16 from one of the largest stadiums in the country as the Matildas take on Denmark. The winner faces either France or Morocco in the quarterfinals. Hello, everyone. I'm Mihir Sinhasan, and thanks for tuning in. What is an early Monday morning here in Phoenix, Arizona? Both teams out on the pitch, and with that, we'll get started with the lineups. Australia going in a 4-4-2. No changes for them from their win against Canada, 4-1, that sent them to the knockouts. Mackenzie Arnold in goal, Steph Catley, Alana Kennedy, Claire Hunt, and Ellie Carpenter across the back. Caitlin Ford, Kyra Cooney-Cross, Katrina Gorey, and Haley Razzo in the midfield. Emily Van Egmond and Mary Fowler up top. Let's take a look at Denmark. Going to a 4-4-2 as well, contrary to their 4-2-3-1 they played in their 2-0 victory against Haiti. Only changes Stina Balisager in the back line. Once again, playing center back. Lena Christensen will be in goal. Katrina Vea, Simone Boya, and Rika Savek will join Balisager in the defensive half. Rika Marie Madsen, Karen Holmgaard, Katrina Kuhl, and Yanni Thompson will be your midfielders. And the forwards up top will be Pernille Harder and Emily Vangsgaard. Australia, again, both teams coached by a couple of Scandinavians. Australia coached by Swede Tony Gustafsson, and Denmark coached by one of their own, Lars Sundergaard. Harder stands at midfield. Sold out crowd, it seems like, at Stadium Australia. More than 75,000 packed in for the opener for Australia as they beat Ireland 1-0 here. Second match for this stadium here at this 2023 Women's World Cup, and we're underway. Denmark will be in their all-red kits going from right to left. Australia will be in the yellow tops, green shorts, and white socks going from left to right. Steph Catley with a boot up, back with Pernille Harder. Tries to go 1-2, finds Rika Marie Madsen, who tried to square it into the middle. Nobody was there. Falls for Haley Razzo. A long shot from outside by Katrina Vea. Rolls all the way towards Mackenzie Arnold. Not even a minute in, first shot on target for this one. So back it goes again for Denmark out on the end line for a throw-in. As we talked before, Lars Sundergaard, Denmark head coach, again, has been head coaching quite a while now, more than 20 years. It started off as actually a player coach with one of the teams in his home country. As this long ball deflected by Thompson and just had to be booted out there by Kennedy. Denmark already on the front foot. Tony Gustafsson on the other side. Again, took over the Matilda's job in 2020. That included a fourth-place spot in the Olympics, which, in other words, meant that they got a knockout stage win. And again, he's no stranger to excellence in the women's game. Was an assistant on Jill Ellis's squad for the U.S. women's national team that won the Women's World Cup in 2015 and 2019. As Vangsgaard tries to scoop it over towards Harder, but it's cleared away. Deflected. Out on the right, here comes Haley Razzo with some space to work with. Good track back by Kuhl, but Razzo continues to work. She's taken down, no foul called. Ball was well ahead of her as Vea came to collect. And now play will be stopped. Free kick as Vea was taken down. And Razzo this time will be called for the foul instead of drawing one. Third minute, 0-0 between Australia and Denmark. Already a lot of great chances. As there's Simone Boya. Back with Stina Balisager. Long ball sent, chested down by Catley, looking towards Thompson on the right. Again, if you're wondering for Australia, no Sam Kerr in the lineup. Tony Gustafsson told the media personnel, including those of The Guardian, that he would have a check with the medical staff on the team on whether or not Kerr is fit to start in the starting 11. She may be starting. She is available off the bench. So she may be making some appearances. But right now, she remains there. Again, that's a big story going into this Women's World Cup, where Sam Kerr was supposed to be the hero for this Australia side that for years has looked like a perennial powerhouse, has looked like a team in the top 10. And now they get to host the biggest tournament in the world for women's football. How did they respond to the big stage? How did they respond to show people that they can be contenders overall? That was a story for a while. And then afterwards, it was just about trying to keep their play alive. Because afterwards, it was Sam Kerr, that same person who was the quote sweetheart of this Women's World Cup, going down with a calf injury in training before the first ever group stage match. And then they were able to get a win 1-0 against Ireland right here at Stadium Australia, but then lost 3-2 to Nigeria. And then they needed a 4-0 win against Canada to go to the knockout stage. Sent 4 knocked back with Razzo. Razzo clipped forward, deflected out, or it seemed like it was deflected. And Gory not happy with the play there. She was the one to actually pivot forward. Got some interesting costumes there to support the Matildas. Of course, a lot of kits from the fans. A couple people wearing Teletubby costumes. I don't know how that was related. England played earlier today. Beat Denmark on penalties, mind you, 4-2. That was a close one. I was watching the end of that as Bali Sagar clears it out on the touchline. Throw in for Australia deep in the attacking third. Ellie Carpenter to take it. And she had some long throws in the match against Canada. She also had some good motors inside towards the box. So we could see that from Carpenter later in this one. Put her right arm up, giving some directions. Long run up, long throw into the heart of the box, headed away. Smart one there by Boya. Carpenter redirects it back in, and it's actually towards the back end of it. Catley down on the side here for Caitlin Ford. Playing through for Catley again. Dribbled in low, and Boya is there to clear it away on the touchline. Throw in. Gustafsson trying to get the crowd riled up here. More than 75,000, as I mentioned, for that opener. It's the highest attended women's soccer match in Australia history. Here's Ford. And Van Egg couldn't be scooped up there. It's actually Catley. It's Gory. Right-footed cross, headed away by Bali Sagar. Down towards Rika Murray Madsen. And here comes Denmark on the break. Pernille Harder going the other way. It's a 1-on-3 right now. She's still going with the ball. Now she's getting towards the edge of the box. Tries playing out towards Madsen. Deflected out. And a Carpenter will clear it right before it goes out on the end line. But nonetheless, corner, or rather throw-in for Denmark in the attacking third. Here's Vea. Surveying her options. Thought about going short. Now she'll go short to the left-hand side with Harder. Brought back by Mary Fowler. Deflected off of Madsen. Throw in for Australia. Mary Fowler with the third goal against Canada. Essentially the insurance goal was there, but then it was just about adding the cherry on top. And Mary Fowler, who actually was denied a goal in the 40th minute due to VAR, was able to get on the score sheet in that one. But oh boy, that was a resounding victory at Melbourne Rectangular Stadium. Australia beating Canada, one of the top 10 teams in the nation, 4-0. And that too, the biggest thing in that process is the fact that Sam Kerr did not even show up. Sam Kerr was on the bench. Really no need, because by the time it was like 60th minute, it was 3-0. Long ball sent forward. Emily Van Egmond trying to get a touch, but it's a good shade out there by Simone Boya. Goal kick again. 8th minute, still 0-0 between Australia and Denmark. Going into today's matchups, we had England-Nigeria, where England was able to survive as the Lionesses won 4-2 on penalty kicks to eliminate the Super Falcons. Big news yesterday with the United States losing to Sweden. So in other words, we will have a new Women's World Cup champion once this tournament is all said and done. And that has not been said since 2011 at least. Here's Harder going forward with Vangsgaard. Vangsgaard out on the right. This could be dangerous. Thompson in the middle, and Madsen can't get a good touch to it. She was sliding to try to get a touch, but It couldn't happen. And how about that? Thompson with Madsen. That was some good connection there, trying to cross it down and down low in that regards, but it's a good build-up nonetheless. Great build-up there by Denmark. A great build-up there. We got Ricky Marie Madsen, the North Carolina Courage player. Here comes Razzo the other way for Australia. Left for Fowler. 30 yards out. Fowler on the left, cutting inside. Now towards Gorey. Played in low, cleared immediately. All the way back towards midfield. Hunt. Kennedy. She'll continue to just dribble it around. And it goes all the way back towards base and Mackenzie Arnold. Hunt. Out with Carpenter again. Deflected off of Madsen, throwing Australia. Played out there by Cooney Cross out on the left. Fowler, the good check-in. Gorey can't find the ball, and here comes Denmark again on the counterattack. Here's Harder going the other way. Looks for options. Now she's going out to the right. Harder with a shot. That will be fired wide. Again, Pernille Harder automatically going on the counterattack, and once again automatically met by 3-4 defenders. But you can tell the Denmark pressure is there as we reach 10 minutes into this match. More importantly, it's an interesting connection between her and Emily Vangsgaard, both of whom have scored in this 2023 Women's World Cup, to try to get at least something going, at least a tandem between the two of them, maybe bring in a couple of the midfielders as well. Because that was one thing that's different than what we saw earlier in this Women's World Cup from Denmark, who opted to play 4-3-3 against China and then against England. As this one's fired down the line there by Carpenter, headed right back by Vea. Finds Razzo again. Vea, the nice scoop, goes down, and will earn a free kick for Denmark. Gorey again, a call for the foul. And with that will be a reset free kick. Vea, Boya, and Bali Sagar. Bali Sagar started the first two matches in that right center back position against China and England. Again, I know from experience because I called both of those matches. Denmark-China is not up there, but England-Denmark is. So you can watch that right here on my YouTube page. So continue being right here with Mihir Sinhasan. Again, a lot of these matches started off being at decent times in the United States. Now you're getting a few of them that are pretty early in the morning, especially on the West Coast. This one at 3:30. There's a good win back there by Australia. Clip forward, out with Van Egmond, and she lost it. Again, I don't really, again, the fact that, yes, the Matildas got their opener in the 9th minute against Canada, but they needed goals that day, obviously. My biggest question is, when do you start to bring Sam Kerr in? I think it's pretty obvious is when you start to lose momentum. I'm thinking maybe 60th minute from the reports we've been seeing. And the fact that she was on the bench, I mean, she could have played against Canada, but the fact of the matter was they were up 3-0, and Tony Gustafsson didn't see any big moment to bring her in, right? The scoreline wasn't matching it. He could have brought in Kerr to try to get minutes, but I don't know why. Long throw, and it will be glance past Vangsgaard, who's the closest to the ball. Scooped up by Arnold, who now looks for options. Was opting for the roll. Now she'll back up. And she'll roll it out towards Hunt, who's in the box, mind you. But again, when you look at the teams who are not the ones holding possession of the ball, right? How do they try to get something forward? You know, you think about South Africa. They look dangerous. Granted, they had less than 30% of possession, but whenever they had it, if it's not for Daphne van Domselaar, Netherlands might have been in some trouble. And then for the United States, they look like the better team against Sweden yesterday, but again, It was Sia Musovic. Here's Harder now on the left-hand side, cutting back at the edge of the box now. Continues to cut inside. Cool. Caught up in a bottleneck. Balisagar turns towards Boya. Vea on the left, out with Madsen. Denmark continues to find something in the attacking third. Chipped through by Cool is headed away. Take two back towards Cool. Forced off there by Fowler and Gory. As here's Van Egmond taken down. Free kick. You got Boy in the spot. Karen Holmgard as well. Playing the center mid. So Holmgard and Cool, who are both playing the holding mid spot against Haiti, have been upgraded to center mid. There have been a lot of changes. I should tell you that even though it is a 4-4-2 and there's technically only one change, it's really just Balisagar in center back, but Sorensen was playing the right mid position. Thompson was playing right back as the flag's going to go up for offside on Australia. But Rika Savek, who was playing right back today, was playing center back against Haiti. So that was there, at least according to ESPN's roster sheet. It was a interesting move there, and they also played a 4-2-3-1. I should note that. So that's what caused a lot of the position changes between that match and today. Pernille Harder was playing the attacking midfielder role. You still had Madsen on the left, and what was Sorensen on the right. Holmgard and Poole holding midfielders. Speaking of Harder, she is on the right hand side of the pitch, back towards Savek, and now back with Balisagar. Boya, Vea. 15 minutes through, still scoreless between Australia and Denmark. Carpenter with the pick. And out towards Hunt. The host looking to make it to the quarterfinals, win a knockout stage match. They've only done that once in their history at the Women's World Cup. That was in 2015 against Brazil. Denmark has never won a Women's World Cup knockout stage match. So again, rare territory for both of these two squads. As here's Cooney Cross. Catley Ford out on some side. Oh, this could be dangerous here for Caitlin Ford going forward. Ford now tried playing out towards Razzo, went down. Either way, neither one ends up happening. Good 1-2 there as it's Madsen on the left. Long ball deflected, knocked away there by Cooney Cross. Fowler. Oh, she tried getting away from Holmgard, and Holmgard's going to take possession back. Ball opens up, play opens up, and here comes Harder now on the left-hand side. Edge of the box now, inside. Harder shot, and that's saved by Arnold. Automatically, Denmark trying to use that Scandinavian counterattack to their advantage here. Good chance, too. Just motoring inside the box. It's a good shot. It's just didn't have any direction to really challenge Arnold. It was right towards her. That's the only down thing I would say about that. Speaking of down, there's one Australian player who needs some treatment. Gustafsson will call some for his players over. Sam Kerr, the captain of this team, and as I mentioned before, the sweetheart of this 2023 Women's World Cup. She's also talking to some of her players. And again, the question becomes, with the United States out, England is still in this, and that would have been something, though, had England lost earlier today. But the winner of this match plays either France or Morocco. In the event that it is France, first off, if it's either one of these two teams against France, should be a great game, especially if it's Australia against France. Steph Catley, who needed some treatment, she's wearing the captain's armband right now as the vice captain. She'll get some treatment off on the end line. So Australia will temporarily be down a player. 18th minute, still 0-0 between Australia and Denmark. Australia making their fifth consecutive appearance in the knockout stage. Denmark making their first appearance in the knockout stage since 1995. And already this is quite a historic year for this Denmark women's national team. As I mentioned too, Australia's made the knockout stage every year since 2007. Denmark is in their first Women's World Cup since 2007. So that tells you how important this match is for a lot of the Danish folks back home. A little revenge too at the men's side. These two in the men's game faced each other in Qatar back in the group stage. Australia won that 1-0, and because of that, they ended up advancing to the knockouts, much to the avail of the Socceroos supporters. And Socceroos did well. Matilda's trying to do better as Carpenter sends us down the line. Razzo will give chase. Balisager to, or rather, yeah, Balisager to clear. And Balisager, and you've got Holmgaard, both of which are the only redheads in the lineup right now for Denmark. There's Vea with a throw-in. Cool with the check-in. Back towards Vea, deflected. Ball skips forward. Carpenter, oh, she lost it. Madsen collects. Cool on the left-hand side towards midfield. Cool somehow finds it back. And now she'll cut forward onto the right-hand side. Try to play it across, and that's going to hit referee Rebecca Welsh in the middle. She knows it herself. That will result in a drop ball situation. Don't always like when it happens, but when it does happen, you got to play it fair. So 20th minute, still 0-0. Still a lot of chances on both sides. Still a lot of players try to pass the ball around, try to get something a little forward. Boya, Savek, Balisager, Boya, and Vea. So there's your back line for Denmark if you're tuning in late. For the back line once again. That's one thing that's remained consistent in the squad despite making changes from 4-3-3 to 4-2-3-1 and now to a 4-4-2 tonight. Savek, Balisager, now out towards Vea. Madsen, oh, nifty flick, and now here's some space for Vea on the left-hand side. Attacking area, deflected away by Razzo. Should be a throw-in deep in the attacking third. Very close to the corner flag. How about that back heel, though, by Rika Marie Madsen? Actually went out on the end line, so it will be a corner kick. Yanni Thompson to take this from the left side of the pitch. Denmark with a solid chance, solid amount of chances. More than Australia, actually. Thompson, right-footed near post, dribbling through, and that's knocked away. Further cleared out on the touchline by Mary Fowler. As Arnold and crew able to hold on to this from a defensive standpoint. Let's take a look at this. It was just bouncing near post, and really it was just Arnold reading the ball well. Ball dripped all the way to her and Balisager there. And Balisager could not steer it into the net. Savek was also in the area. Vea now with the throw-in deep in the attacking third. One back there by Razzo. Either way, free kick. As I mentioned before, Stadium Australia only hosting their second match of this Women's World Cup, only hosting one group stage game, which ended up being a pretty interesting one. Australia beating Ireland 1-0. And Steph Catley from the spot that caused Australia to get 3 points, a big 3 points, as they got some against Canada, and that eventually led them to get to this stage back at one of the country's biggest stadiums. Obviously, not their biggest. Melbourne Cricket Ground exists. It's Claire Hunt. Denmark pressure keeps on coming. Great work by Kennedy and Hunt to get the ball forward as Cooney Cross sends it out on the left. Maybe some chances here for Ford. Trying to traffic. Can't play through for Catley as it's knocked back to Cooney Cross. Gory. Clip forward out on the left. Savek will try to see this out. Ford keeps on pressuring and will send Savek to the ground, so that's a free kick. But again, automatically, it seems like we've got a good 50-50 match in our hand, and that's what I enjoy right now. 24th minute, still scoreless between Australia and Denmark. I'm Mihir Sinhasan. Thanks for tuning in on what is an early Monday morning here in Phoenix at about almost 4 o'clock. The match starting a little bit on time as England Nigeria wrapped up only about 5-10 minutes before this one started. Vea appeared to get the ball back to go on the counter, but she did foul Razo in the process. And Haley Razo with two deciding goals against Canada, the first and the second, that sent Australia to this knockout stage match. And a great addition to the squad and a great woman who has stepped up in Kerr's absence. You look at the players who have scored. Catley, of course, with the penalty kick against Ireland. Van Egmond and Kennedy with goals against Nigeria. Van Egmond with one closer in the second half. Kennedy won with about 10 minutes into stoppage time, but it ended up being more of a garbage time goal, as it really just cut the lead in half from 3-1 to 3-2 in favor of Nigeria. Carpenter with the throw-in. Can't link up there with Van Egmond, and who had wanted to link up with Razo. Back towards Christensen. Razo gets pressure. Christensen launched all the way back, and here comes Gorey in Australia the other way. Ford out on the left. Now inside the box. Left out here. Not the best touch there by Razo. And as she takes down Cool, free kick for the Danes. A lot of challenges so far in this one. And they relatively... they haven't been reckless, so I don't think any of the fouls are worthy of a yellow or red. But at the same time, there have been many fouls. Many of them called against Australia, same against Denmark too. Usually tends to happen when teams want to get on the counter or on the attack in general. It's a long ball sent, trying to find Harder. Hunt tries to see this out, and Hunt needs some help from Carpenter to clear it out. Fowler still in the defensive third. It's Gorey out with Catley on the left. Catley decides to play back towards Kennedy. Kennedy holds on to the ball, now plays it out with Hunt. Hunt with a check-in from Gorey, and out towards Carpenter. Back towards Hunt. Round around the ball goes. Good split pass play there between the holding midfielder and the center backs as this long ball was sent forward. Can't find Razo. Now, don't get me wrong. We still had some decent chances in this match. It's not like either side is lacking some sort of finishing. Denmark with majority of the shots, though, I'll tell you that. 3 of them and 2 of them on target, contrary to Australia's 1 and 0. As Ford's boot forward all the way back towards Christensen, who will catch it like a punt returner. 27th, and Christensen rolls it out towards Bali Sagar, still in the defensive third. Bea, pass back towards Boya. Bea, good turn from Razo. Get it forward towards Harder now, who's on the left-hand side. Cool. You have to give credit with Australia that every time they've been able to lose possession, they've been able to get their numbers back, and automatically Denmark has not been able to at least find a threatening power on goal. Usually whenever it happens, it's based off a counterattack in isolated spaces. It's not based off all the numbers back, like all the defenders and all the midfielders back for Australia. 28th and still scoreless. Again, chances on both sides. Brunel Harder leading the way for Denmark. Started off with some counterattacks, and then Australia in the who scores in lieu of Sam Kerr. A lot of names have stepped up. Nobody really today so far. Although Gorey and Cooney Cross, more Gorey than Cooney Cross, has played in a more attacking role today. She started playing higher up the pitch and more physical in the second half against Canada, and I think Gustafsson has told her to keep going at it that way. This is Bali Sagar. Lofted out towards Madsen, who tries to get it off the bounce. She'll be running towards the left wing, and will get it over there. Left wing play. She enters towards the box. Right-footed cross. is actually kind of a knuckler away from the box. And meanwhile, here comes Fowler in Australia on some counter. Long ball played forward, trying to find Ford in the area. She's now in the box. Ford in the clear, and it's in the net. Goal for Australia. Beautiful build-up, beautiful celebration. And the Matildas are up 1-0. A great ball by Fowler and a common simple finish by Caitlin Ford. 29th, and the Matildas are once again waltzing. And there's the breakthrough. We have to look at that because that might have been one of the best passes we've seen from Fowler and crew as Denmark has a regroup right after allowing that. I mean, if you were to tell me though that Australia, round of 16, if Sam Kerr does not come in and she's chilling stuff. By the way, Ford was onside as she entered the box. So that's a goal. Able to split Lena Christensen there. Can't finish, too. What you want to see there from Caitlin Ford. Already quite a stalwart in terms of Australian records. Going in today was tied for 7th on the all-time list with 29. She's now got 7th all to herself with 30th. Actually getting in front of Kaya Simon, who is also tied for 7th, who was. Now, Ford takes that spot. More importantly, she now has Australia up 1-0 on Denmark. And I should also note this too. In the past 5 meetings between an UEFA and an AFC team, that is Europe and Asia, because this one's played forward, cut out there before Harder could do anything. Hunt will head this out. As I was saying, every time that we have seen an UEFA AFC matchup, that is the last 5 meetings between a Europe and Asian, between someone from the European Confederation and the Asian Confederation, the first seed in that matchup has always ended up winning. Australia came in as the first seed winning Group B. And now the runner-ups, the second seed in Group D, Denmark, need to find an equalizer to buck the trend and keep their Women's World Cup hopes alive. Razzo, it's picked up by Cool. Cool now inside the box, edge of the box, and she'll try to cut back. Was actually taken down there, probably by her own self. Now Fowler, all the way cutting back towards the defensive half. Pressures remain stagnant from Denmark as the boot there by Razzo goes out, throwing towards midfield. Caitlin Ford right now has got the decider here. 30th goal in the 29th minute. Pretty good combination, if you ask me. Boya, Vea at midfield. Cunning, and now with Bali Sagar again. Bali Sagar to boot forward. Harder. It skips through. Harder trying to get on the end of it, but Carpenter can't keep that in play. So it will be a throw-in. Carpenter was wearing a cerulean, or rather a turquoise-type headband earlier. She's kind of taking it off, and it's almost acting like a choke necklace, if you will. Either way, good to note. It's very similar to Julie Ertz's for the United States. This one's sent in, headed back by Kennedy. Thompson trying to argue it was last touched by the Matildas, and indeed, it was. Corner kick. Again, what a result this would be for Australia. And that too, it goes back to what that writer for ESPN said, where depending on how things work, this was after the Nigeria loss, she wrote this, going into the match against Canada, where the soccer gods are either writing one of the best miracle stories of all time, or it's a horror story that nobody can even imagine. Obviously, the horror story, so far, so good. Hasn't come out of the closet yet. But the miracle, still rolling. Australia defending this corner. Vea swung into the box, headed up by Boya, and out of play. 33rd minute. Right now, Australia with the advantage, up 1-0 on Denmark. I'd have to check when that goal was. It was indeed the 29th minute for Caitlin Ford. Playing the left wing position today, again, she's kind of been a little bit more dominant than Emily Van Egmond, who is actually playing one of the striker positions. Well, it's an interesting pairing. Van Egmond playing somewhere in the middle of the pitch, who knows where, and Fowler tracking back consistently. If you wonder where Van Egmond is, she's actually one of the few players that is forward. That is one of the front lines for Australia, not forward like cherry picking. Long ball sent, headed back by Carpenter. Gorey, Hunt, back towards Kennedy, just evaded Thompson. And now Kennedy sent forward with Fowler, who had to once again track back. Cooney Cross to get some space. Cooney Cross to use some speed onto herself. What can she do? Laid off towards Ford on the left. Numbers back for Denmark. Ford continues her presence. Still walking through, able to nutbag Savek, but can't evade Sager as she clears it all the way back towards Australia's defensive half for throwing. How about this touch, though, by Caitlin Ford? Automatically using the energy that she got on her first goal, try to get her second. Kennedy, all the way back towards goal, and Mackenzie Arnold. As I mentioned before, Australia has only won one match at the knockout stage, at least here in the Women's World Cup. That was a 1-0 victory against Brazil in 2015. That one, Australia were actually the underdogs in that, and they were in quite a stacked group as well, which included the United States and Sweden. Again, is a pretty popular rivalry throughout the group stage, and again, unless you've been living under a Women's World Cup rock, played in the knockout stage yesterday, and oh boy, what a crazy match that was. As the long ball sent forward towards Madsen goes out on the end line, goal kick. How about this chance here by Ford? Left-footed shot right into the corner of the net, lower corner, calm, cool, and collected. Automatically, you can tell that the scenes have shifted here between Australia trying to get something. I mean, you think about it. Denmark looked like the better team for the first 15, 20 minutes, right? They had the chances. They got the counter. They had the better command. The one thing they lacked, though, was a good chance on goal. Kennedy boots it high up out on the end line. Throw in for Denmark. Out towards Sager in the midfield. Boya around the horn to Vea. Vea with some green grass. Bringing it towards the attacking third. Now with Harder. Pernille Harder, listed as a striker, again, was one of the players going forward, and now she's almost one of the facilitators as we started seeing her in that position, especially against England when they were down in a similar situation like this, 1-0, after a first half goal. Carpenter clears forward. Vea lost the ball there for a while, able to recuperate it, though. Home guard. Vea again. Long ball sent forward, headed away by Hunt. Not the best layoff by Gore towards Carpenter, but she clears nonetheless. Chance for Razzo, and she'll slow down her play. Back towards Hunt in the defensive half. Gorey, Razzo, Van Egmond. The long ball sent on the right. She's looking towards Steph Catley, or rather Caitlin Ford. Ford able to get there on the left. Past Savek. Ford shot deflected, and that's going wide. So close for a second. She's trying to argue it was deflected and should be a corner kick. Let's take a look at this. Savek with the last deflection to our knowledge. She's got a point, honestly. That should be a corner kick. Don't think it took another deflection off of Ford herself, so, I mean, she's got a good point. Either way, Rebecca Welsh will give in favor of Denmark. Here's Vea. or rather, Vansgaard. I haven't called her name a lot today. Almost shows how Harder and crew have kind of been a little bit stagnant. I mean, I talked about Harder going forward as a striker, but I think some part of those chances just being stalwarted is the fact that Vangsgaard hasn't found some open space. Speaking of which, she finds it there. Long ball sent right back towards Arnold. Madsen was down for a while. Now she's up, as Arnold will give some directions. First line on her tummy. Now she's gone up. Rolling over towards the left. Bouncing the ball. And with that, the ball is messaged forward. Headed back by Bali Sagar. Another further one there by Harder. Harder able to collect. Now Thompson on the right. Again, can't find the pass with Harder. Picked off by Hunt. Cooney cross. Van Egmond. Van Egmond with a turn. Carpenter. Hunt. Back with her fellow center back Kennedy. And the defensive half once again. 40th minute. Australia up 1-0 on the Danes, courtesy of Caitlin Ford. Speaking of Ford, here she is making a turn on the ball, trying to get past home guard. Indeed, still going there. She is at the edge of the box. Kept on the left. Out with Catley. And now Gorey. Gorey tried playing a lofter towards Fowler, but it goes out for a goal kick. Australia not content with a 1-0 lead. They're trying to make it 2. Which, again, I credit them. I credit them for doing that. Bali Sagar. Boya. A good crowd on tap here at Stadium Australia. Over 75,000 seats. Of course, hosted the opening and closing ceremonies at the 2000 Olympics that were here in Sydney. That still stands as their highest attendance overall with 114,000, more than that, actually, as Sydney was once again on the global stage. Back in that global stage, they've done pretty well. This is where the final is going to be, by the way, on August 20th. A lot of options on both sides where, especially after the United States lost yesterday, we will be now crowning a new champion at the Women's World Cup. Catley, Kennedy, and now to Hunt. Australia playing pretty relaxed right now. No need to set it forward right now, as Harder will give some pressure against the center backs. Here's Hunt. Vangsgaard doing the same. And with that, Arnold will boot forward. Headed back there by Boya. Madsen. Cool. Picked off by Van Egmond. Now with Razzo. And some space. Van Egmond can't play back with Razzo. Cool. Home guard. Bali Sagar. 2 redheads getting some touches there. It's 42nd minute. Again, we got some interesting matchups. The winner of England will be facing Colombia or Jamaica in the quarterfinals. That one will actually be right here at Stadium Australia. Of course, it's gone by a few names over the years. ANZ Park, Accor Stadium. Settling on Stadium Australia for this Women's World Cup. 43rd, throwing now for Carpenter on the right. Check in by Van Egmond, and a boot forward by Carpenter. Boya, Harder, Vea. Boya again. The Danes on a Cinderella run, a Cinderella year for this side. They need an equalizer. They must get an equalizer. If not in the next 2 minutes plus first half stoppage time, 45 minutes of second half plus stoppage time there. More importantly, they got to face a crowd that is against their will, cheering on the Matildas, cheering on Sam Kerr and crew, although Kerr has yet to make an appearance at this 2023 Women's World Cup. I think is the craziest part about this whole thing. Here's Boya. Cool. Vea at midfield, trying to hurdle forward with Harder. Home guard. Balisagar, another simple layoff. Balisagar. Boya. And out of Vea. Vea in some space. Cool. Again, cutting inside, unable to find any option to flip the pitch. Denmark holding possession, but unable to find one that goes and comes with fruition so far. Haven't had managed a shot too in the past 15 minutes or so. Shot or shot on goal. Well, shot, let alone shot on goal in that regards. Not on the right. Thompson up against Kathleen Ford. Thompson low ball collected by Arnold. 45th, less than a minute before first half stoppage time. Australia is still up 1-0. Boot forward here. Too high for Ford. Balisagar with the initial header. Home guard couldn't track it. Poked out by Fowler. Another throw for Denmark on the right-hand side. Midfield. Down the line for Savek. Headed back. Ford. Dancing around. There's Fowler. That's cut out there by home guard. Madsen with a touch back towards Vea. Space could open up here for Denmark. As the flip out towards Thompson's no good, but headed out there by Kennedy. Throw it in the attacking third. Speaking of third, 3 minutes of stoppage time before both teams head to the dressing rooms for some halftime changes. Savek to take the throw. Long throw, once again, into the box. Van Egmond to head it up. Fowler further do it. And Fowler pushed there from the back, so free kick towards the Aussies. As I mentioned before, if you've heard the song Waltzing Matilda, become a Waltzing Matilda with me. Shout out to my mom, because she was the one that taught me to it. You know that this team always loves to waltz. And again, they've been doing that in a more fierce way, even in this one, although Ford had a very graceful shot. And by the way, a rallying cry for a nation right now that their men's team is fresh off an appearance. And again, this is a men's team that lost 2-1, but that to Argentina and Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi in Argentina, who ended up winning the World Cup later in that stretch. They had a good chance too late in that match to tie it up. Sam Kerr and crew enjoying it right now on the bench. All smiles there for the Australian captain. Nursing a calf injury, so she was out the first two. She was on the bench against Canada. Really no need to bring her in against Canada. As we're about halfway through first half stoppage time. About a minute 30 left. Arnold. High boot. Vea with the header up. Razzo trying to argue it was Vea touched last. She was right. Throw in. Tony Gustafsson with a couple interesting tactics. And it'll be interesting to see how he goes about it. But knowing what we saw against Canada and what we've seen today, I don't think he's going to sit back and relax. I think this is a team that wants to go forward and get a second. Get the insurance where it matters. Christensen out with Boya and back with Christensen. Here's Vea. Into some space. Easy layoff there towards Cool. Not the best balls. It's picked off by Razzo. Carpenter. Cooney cross. Back in the defensive half. Defensive third for Hunt. As we approach 3 minutes, the defense will just play with the ball around. Playing away, wasting the time. Overall, pretty good first half for the Aussies as they will head into the break up 1-0 against Denmark, 45 minutes away from clinching their ticket to the quarterfinals. Caitlin Ford, with her 30th goal for her country, puts her at 7th place now overall on the all-time scoring list for the Matildas. But more importantly, it puts them in a spot that they could win against Denmark. I'll take a quick break as we approach halftime, and I'll be back in a few moments to give you the second half right here on YouTube. Halftime here between Australia and Denmark, and it's the host, the Matildas, up 1-0 on the visitors, courtesy to a goal by Caitlin Ford into the 29th minute. I'm Mihir Sinhasan, and thanks for tuning in on what is an early Monday morning, Monday night in Sydney, Australia, where this one is taking place, but about 4:30 in the morning here in Phoenix, Arizona. Again, this is the second match of today, which is essentially almost like a doubleheader because it went to penalties. England versus Nigeria, where the Lionesses pulled out the victory 4-2 in the shootout after it was tied 0-0 at the end of 120 minutes. Again, that's going to be an interesting matchup. We could see England face Australia in the semifinals. We could see France play Australia in the quarterfinals as the French take on Morocco in the latter stages. That is the round of 16 tomorrow. That I believe will be the late game at around 4 a.m. on the West Coast, so 7 a.m. Eastern. And then the first game is Colombia against Jamaica. Got CONMEBOL against CONCACAF, which is not that big of a matchup. Meanwhile, back at Stadium Australia, Denmark and Australia are back underway. The Danes going from left to right now. The Australians going from right to left. No changes to my knowledge at half. Yanni Thompson, bit forward there by Rika Savek, headed back. Karen Holmgaard, Stina Balisager in the defensive half, gives it off towards her fellow center back, Simone Boya. Boya with the long ball, that's headed back there by Lana Kennedy, one of the center backs, towards Caitlin Ford. Off of Holmgaard. And it looks like we have an injured Dane. And indeed, it is Rika Savek out there. And taking a knock, she'll take a knee down on the pitch. Savek making her 53rd appearance today for the club. One of the 4 players on this Danish squad plays for Everton. Also, there's Katrina Vea, Karen Holmgaard, and Nicolene Sorensen. Holmgaard and Vea also starting this match. Sorensen has also got a good chunk of minutes at this Women's World Cup. And again, look at the teammates for this one. You have a few at Everton. Well, on the Danish side, definitely a few for Everton, 4. And then on the bench for Australia is Weaver. She also plays there. If that is for Everton. And Claire Weaver only made 14 appearances for this Aussie side. She's on the bench if the Matildas want to use her. Ellie Carpenter, Kara Cooney-Cross plays it back towards Katrina Gori. Those are 2 center midfielders. Both of them like to go up and down when it comes to getting chances in. Cooney-Cross has gotten a few chances, especially off set pieces. Got the assist to Haley Rouseau's second goal against Canada. It's Pernille Harder keeps it in play. Rika Marie Madsen plays it back towards the back line. Katrina Vea. Madsen picked off by Carpenter. Haley Rouseau's boot goes off of Madsen, and we have a throw-in. So the question becomes, and continues to be for Australia, is if/when do you bring in Sam Kerr, captain of the team, went down with a calf injury in practice before the first group stage match, so she had to miss the first 2, was available off the bench against Canada, but Australia was in such a point in that match where they really didn't need to bring her on. Australia still is up 1-0, so there's still a chance as Lena Christensen will boot this forward. Harder on the left. Cool. Vea. Mouth Madsen. Picked out apart by Carpenter. Able to keep it in play too. Kudos. Van Egmond. Caught up in a trance. A little short tug there by Boya. And Boya will be called for the foul. Free kick for the Aussies. 49th minute. Still 1-0 between Australia and Denmark. Winner going on to face either France or Morocco Again, if Morocco pulls off the upset against France, it would be one of the few times, that is, if Australia holds on to win this, would be one of the few times we see an AFC versus CAF knockout stage match. Carpenter throwing on the right hand side at midfield. Carpenter with a nifty juke. Back with Claire Hunt and back with Mackenzie Arnold, the goalkeeper. She sends it forward in the 50th minute. Brought down again. Emily Van Egmond couldn't get the touch to it, as is back with the Danes. Here's Vea. Stina Balisager. Enrica Savek back with Balisager. Pressure coming from the Aussies, especially Razzo. Vea. Long ball sent forward. Trying to find Thompson, who's making the run. Wasn't for Steph Catley's intervention. Could have been something dangerous, but instead, it's a throw-in deep in the attacking third on the right-hand side. Once again, another long throw-in by Rika Savek. Headed up there by Emily Vangsgaard. Cleared away by Razzo. Vea, left-footed, back in, a little too far for Harder. "51st. And the Aussies have done a solid job. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in their most recent matches, they've done a solid job. Whenever they've had the lead, they've kept the lead. And Denmark, again, they were down 1-0 against England, were unable to find the equalizer. So here's Karen Holmgaard, out with Harder on the right. Harder crossed in, Vangsgaard can't get the header, and it's cleared up by Carpenter. Bouncing through, Savek. Thompson, back to goal. We played with Holmgaard. Vea, the left back, lofting it forward, out towards Thompson. Can't get a touch on it as it goes out in the end line. Goal kick. So the pace of play continues. The ball is in the Danes' court. Can they get the goal they need? And that's probably the question, especially from the stern look on their head coach Lars Sundegaard's face. Goal kick, and again, Arnold will go short here, out with Carpenter on the right-hand side. She'll play a long ball forward, trying to find Rosso on the right. That could be something, but instead Christensen will scoop it up right at the edge of her box. That is on the inside of the box. Otherwise, Christensen's called for a handball there and probably a yellow card. Might be red, who knows? I don't think I've seen a red call for a handball unless it's a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity. Balisager clipped up for Harder, and again, can't get the final flick as Arnold will send this back. Vea with the boot down, knotted down there again by Madsen. Could be interesting if we can see Madsen towards the center of the pitch, especially if it goes out towards Thompson on the right. And maybe this is for, if you're Denmark, this is where you might want to bring in someone like Sorensen, because Thompson has gotten very little production on that right-hand side. Again, very similar players there, Thompson and Sorensen. They started the match together against China. Booted forward, headed out there by Carpenter, throw in Denmark. I'm trying to see some of the games. Now, in their loss to Nigeria, Australia did score the first goal in stoppage time before Kanu got the equalizer right before halftime started. Good dribble here by Katarina Kuhl. Approaching the edge of the box, scooped forward, and Arnold able to grab it off the second bounce. Katarina Kuhl, again, known for playing in some big leagues, big positions, almost got the deciding ball Send it forward. Cool playing for Arsenal. Making her 31st cap today. One of the few players that has a good few connections with a lot of the players in the offseason, including Steph Catley, who's wearing the captain's armband right now, and Caitlin Ford, who, as of right now, has the game winner. 55th minute, Australia, that being said, is up 1-0 on Denmark. Sagar, pressure coming from Fowler, and Christensen boots it forward. Again, another boot, another knock, whack, skedaddle. Madsen gets it on the left, sends it towards Harder in the center. Harder, nifty move away, back towards Madsen on the left. What can she do? She'll pass it back towards Vea. Vea now trying to play through towards Cool in the box. Either way, at least it looked like play might have been stopped. It wasn't, and Razo will send that back towards Christensen. But again, Razo and Gory too. I think it was Gory with the challenge. Vea? Harder dribbling through in the inside. Savek with a run forward. She's tripped up. No foul called. Been a pretty clean game for Rebecca Welsh. I don't know. I mean, Savek's got a valid point. She took the last touch, and Caitlin Ford, who was challenging back, didn't. As Savek went down to the ground. Savek throwing back towards Bali Sagar. Boya. The check-in by Madsen. Vea on the left. '57th. As I mentioned there, another AFC UEFA type battle. And even though Australia is technically Oceania, I'll hold that thought for a while there. Here comes Harder now into the box. Harder shot collected by Arnold. But as I was saying, you have Australia, which, I mean, from a geographical standpoint, is an Oceania, but they are a part of the Asian Football Confederation. So, as you can expect, they're with countries such as India, China, Japan, South Korea. Last three I mentioned, all at this Women's World Cup. Japan got a win against Norway. China heading home. South Korea probably heading home as well. But nonetheless, they've been in that sort of region and not an OFC, which is the Oceania Football Confederation, which is comprised of New Zealand and a bunch of small islands surrounding the two big down under countries. Harder spun away from the ball. Madsen tried to play into the middle there for Thompson. Cut away smartly too. Here's Emily Van Egmond into some space. She plays through out towards Ford. Ford squared in. And a last deflection there by Bali Sagar before Savek could clear it out. Just like that, Australia, after not holding a bunch of possession, almost got a break there. And a great ball towards Ford. I think Mary Fowler had the assist. Well, she had the assist, but she had probably one of the best balls I've seen in this tournament. So Kyra Cooney Cross back on the near side of the pitch. Remember, this is where Razo scored to make it 2-0 in the match against Canada. Once again, Razo's on that back post if she wants to go there. Again, Catley, Van Egmond, many others in the box. Cooney Cross sent in near post, and it flicks past everybody. Was last touched by the Danes, so it will be a corner kick on the opposite side of the pitch. Boya with the last touch. Good spot there by the cameraman. Yeah, so it was headed back there by Boya. Close, but not that close. Either way, here we go for take two. The Australians, Matildas. I think the guys in the Teletubbies costumes are telling the fans to get up on their feet. Cross sent in, punched away by Christensen. Fowler tried to get a touch, no good. Here come the Danes on the counter. Thompson going forward. Ford with a great crunching tackle. And with that, it stopped in their tracks. Gustafsson enjoys it, so do the fans. How about this cross, too? Tough one, too. I believe, who was it? I think it was Gory taking it. So you got your two center midfielders taking the corner kicks, which, again, from a position perspective, is probably what you want, although sometimes left backs or left midfielders tend to take them. Either way, not something you see in terms of soccer bliss, if you will. So kudos to Australia. You got two center midfielders that are very good at taking corner kicks. And the fact that you have two midfielders that one is right-footed, one's left-footed. Ford, Catley on the left. In the attacking third, last touched off of Catley, so Savek's got the throw. Emily Vangsgaard out on the side. Vea has a track back to get the ball from Boya. Collision there between her and Razzo. Technically away from the ball. And it's actually going in favor of Denmark. And now Vea's got some choice words, I believe, for Rebecca Welsh. I think they're trying to argue that now Vea has a much taller and a more physical physique, so she was the one winning that battle despite Razzo taking the bigger hit, and Razzo was the one charging in. So, simply put, more than physicality, it's just physics at that point, right? As Newton likes to say, object in motion stays in motion until stopped, and then it depends on who's going faster, what are the weights, and then that will decide how big and bad the crash is. Vea? Madsen? Bali Sagar in the back line. Savek again, back with Bali Sagar. Again, dribbling forward. Played out with Thompson. Not the best first touch as Catley knocks it out after a while. Throw-in again for the Danes. I mean, they give credit to them. They've stayed in this one. No insurance, so one goal basically knots this one up at one apiece. So I'll give them that. Not too many goals today. Again, 0 in England versus Nigeria. In the Netherlands, South Africa, you had 2, both in favor of the Dutch. 0 in Sweden, the United States. Savek, throw-in, bouncing around, and then eventually cleared by Van Egmond. All the way back, sent forward. Harder can't get the best touch, and it's eventually cleared there by Kennedy. 56% possession for Denmark. They have about 28 minutes plus stoppage time left if they want to get something, and they're going to make a couple changes to try to get more momentum in their favor. Rika Savek heading off, and we'll see who else is. So it'll be Rika Savek and Rika Marie Madsen heading off. How about that? The two Rikas heading off, and in their spot will be number 20 Signe Brun, who I would assume would be playing more of a higher role. And then you also have Mille Giel. Mille Giel. The cross. Cool couldn't get the best first time shot as that's cleared all the way back towards Christensen. But again, we talked about Sigma Brun and Mille Giel. Start off with Brun first. Well, both of them are forwards. Brun, 36th appearance for the country, 18 goals overall for the Real Madrid lady. And Mille Giel wearing number 21. 27th appearance for her, playing for North Carolina Courage in the NWSL in the United States. Ball forward. Hunt has to chase the ball as presumably Harder went down. Maybe a chance for Australia as Gory Goes off to Fowler. Fowler still running for the ball. Back with the Aussies. What can they do? A long ball sent forward. Ford wide open. Now she's in the box. What can she do? She got the first. Can she get the second? End line. Shot deflected at the back heel. And it's saved there. Van Egmond, the one who tried to pull off the nifty flick. But instead it goes right towards Christensen. How about that long ball, too? Again, Caitlin Ford with plenty of space. Not the best test there for Mila Guile, fresh off checking in. I forgot to mention, but Guile heading on and Rika Marie Madsen heading off. Although Madsen was playing left mid, Bruno will probably be playing in that spot, and Guile will be making a like-for-like change with Sebek playing right back. Although Guile listed as a forward could be more of an offensive substitution. Understandable knowing you need to get at least a draw, at least in the 90 minutes, to force this to extra time. Change between the two North Carolina Courage teammates on this squad. How about that for a little teammate team? Again, we talked about Everton and WSL, but how about that for a little teammate kind of change? Mano a mano. Van Egmond tracked back towards Gorey. Gorey lays it off back. Back with Hunt. Now to Kennedy. And now to Catley. Pressure coming by the Danes. Able to get away. Gorey now towards Fowler at midfield. Ford on the left. They've got numbers, maybe some numbers going towards it. Ford able to remain adamant on the left, going up against Guile. Ford still rattling around, still going up against Guile. Trying to move forward. She's going towards the box, taken down. Free kick, Australia. Great persistence there by Caitlin Ford to keep the ball on Guile, to make the spinning run away, and to go down and draw the foul. That's going to be very close. To some extent, it might be not necessarily a glorified corner kick because it's much closer to the edge of the box. But how about that? To spin away from Guile, use the physicality, and so you also have Thompson, Yanni Thompson, going into the book with a yellow card. So it looks like we're going to see a change now that is very similar to what we saw in the Haiti match for Denmark, that is, as Thompson was playing right back in that game. She's going to slide back, and Millie Guile will play forward in that right midfielder. So in other words, they basically replaced their wings. Catley and Cooney cross over the ball. Again, you've got the tall trees in the area if they want to get the great fruit. Catley, Cooney cross. Again, you got both center backs, Claire Hunt, Alana Kennedy, Caitlin Ford could get her second goal. Back post, you got Haley Razzo if you need her. Catley, left-footed, tries to find Fowler, but that was knocked away by Kuhl. Back out on the left wing. Cooney cross, back with Catley. Catley trying to find Ford, knocked by Vangsgaard. But it looks like, I think Vangsgaard got the last touch. And so you can only get so much from a monitor these days instead of just being in person. Third corner of the day for the Aussies here in the 68th minute. And again, the question remains, can Australia get the cherry on top? Cooney cross. Sent back post. Header. Too high. Kennedy trying to argue it was deflected. I don't think she will get that. Again, it was the two center backs for the respective squads, Kennedy and Bali Sagar. And a welcome sign for Australia. Sam Kerr starting to take off her training jacket, starting to put on her kit. And the fans who are right there in front of her, she's going to start warming up in the end line. We'll start to cheer for her a little bit. Again, welcome signs galore for Australia. Catley to take this from the right-hand side. Swung into the box, headed up. Fowler lost the ball. Maybe a chance for Marie Madsen, or rather Denmark in general, to break. Guile towards Kuhl. Harder. Harder in some space. Try to clip it forward. Oh, it's a good ball. Just one deflection away from making it, I believe, towards Bruna. That's what it looked like in the moment. Bruna, or actually it might have been Vea. Yeah, it's actually Katrina Vea, the left back, going that forward. Nonetheless, 21 plus stoppage time for the Danes if they want to get an equalizer here. Cleared out of the box, and now with Van Egmond, who had to track back, tripped up, no foul called, and now with Harder again. Harder with the pip, and we're probably going to see her settle into more of a attacking midfielder slash facilitator role. Try to get the passes forward and link those passes in towards your forwards, like Guile, like Bruin. Ford, tripping around. Fowler, what can she do? Plays it out on the wing, out towards Cooney Cross. Cooney Cross, Fowler, edge of the box, now inside. Fowler dancing the ball. Fowler finds Van Egmond. Van Egmond back to goal. Another shot, and it's in the net. Laid off there. Beautiful work, and Haley Razzo has her third goal of the Women's World Cup and her first today. Just 70 minutes through this match, 20 to go, and the Aussies have doubled the lead. And it's a good combo there. Right there in the moment, free and open space. As she did against Canada twice, Haley Razzo strikes again. You have Sam Kerr. Now, this is the interesting point if you're Tony Gustafsson. You have 75,000 here. As we take a look at the build-up, was Fowler going out with Cooney Cross. Again, a solid build-up overall. Left with Fowler. The shot was deflected. It goes out towards Van Egmond. And basically, Razzo, all she had to do was put it away. And Van Egmond, almost like Luis Suarez, playing back towards goal. The simple layoff and a simple finish. 2-0. Australia now. Again, they still have to hold the lead. There's still a lot of soccer left to be played. But you can tell from the jubilation from the Aussies side, this team has come to play. As here's Katrina Kuhl dancing around. Her shot might have been deflected as it rolls wide. No deflection, so goal kick. As I mentioned before, and I'll say it again, their only win, Australia, was in a knockout stage match at the Women's World Cup. Was in a 2015, a 1-0 win against Brazil, which, don't get me wrong, Brazil is still a great squad, but from a scoreline perspective, only 1-0. Australia, if you're wondering, they also got a victory at the 2020 Summer Olympics. Actually ended up getting fourth, beating Great Britain. So in other words, for the most part, England in their matchup. Katrina Kuhl is off. Couldn't tell who came in, but I believe that might have been Josephine Hasbo. And indeed it would be. Hasbo started the match against China. Again, was playing the 8th spot in the 4-3-3. And then has been kind of demoted towards the bench since then. Brought back there by Guile. Boya, not the best pass there. Gives it right back towards Van Egmond. Back with Razzo. Home guard to clear. Harder tries to get it off the turn. Collected there by Carpenter. Carpenter sent down the line. Van Egmond can't get a touch to it. There's Vea. Boya. Now the ball is Sagar. Is Sagar? Oh, the good pip there by Gori. Now the Razzo. Australia has almost, for the most part, parked themselves, at least when it comes to chances in Denmark's side. And the Danes have to counterattack here. It's harder. Nonetheless, it's a 3-on-5 right now. So it almost shows you what this team is doing, right? Australia's played discipline enough where whenever Denmark gets in the attack, it doesn't get too crazy. As Brun deflected forward, cleared away there before Gao could get a chance. 75th minute, still 16 minutes plus stoppage time. As Vea goes down the left-hand side, cross easily headed away by Carpenter. Australia now. Ford up against Vangsgaard. Vangsgaard to win the challenge. She'll take it now on the right. And she lost it again. Slamming the ground in frustration. Has not been a good day for the Danish attack, who started off the match a little fiery, but save for a couple of good chances, have not really challenged Australia. And the Aussies on the other side have found the chances, they've found the separation, and some easy finishes as well. Cool, calm, and collected. First by Caitlin Ford, and again, a great assist there by Mary Fowler. And then was able to play the ball through and essentially flipping the pitch in the process. And then in the second goal, Emily Van Egmond with the assist. A simple Luis Suarez type layoff towards Haley Razzo, who, as I mentioned before, has continued to be a darling for this team. By the way, attendance 75,784 for this one. As I said, sold out crowd. Only going to get bigger, only going to get more electric. Got an interesting quarterfinal. England against either Colombia or Jamaica. As Brun wins this back, she's got Harder up ahead. She's going down. That is Brun. And it's a free kick for the Danes. And Cooney Cross basically got crossed up in that situation. Taken down. Zankar, by the way, still has the Women's World Cup, the penny, if you will, that is still on. More importantly, on the pitch, Australia's trying to defend a free kick. As a lot of people have told me, 2-0 is one of the worst leads to have because you think you're in the clear, but you're not. And we've seen that a few times, both in Leagues Cup play with MLS and Liga MX, FC Cincinnati, and Sporting Kansas City was kind of like that. And then Men's World Cup, it was Netherlands and Argentina, right? And that too, Argentina got the goal in like 73rd, 74th. Meanwhile, will be lofted into the box, headed down Harder with a chance. Her first shot blocked. Second one up in the air by Hunt, and Catley clears it out, only as far as Guile. Guile clipping again, and a chance to counterattack there. That's a good step in by Cooney Cross. Now bodies are flying everywhere. Cooney Cross went down. Gory went down. So you have both of your center midfielders taken down. No, fouls have definitely been called, but no cards. Again, you had Gory going for the ball against Thompson. I don't know what would be technically a foul. Now, Gory, I mean, basically Thompson almost stepping over her. I would guess there was going to be a foul. I don't know if either one would be because neither player got a good chunk of the ball, but pretty good overall. More importantly, we're going to have a couple changes lining up on the bench. Obviously, Sam Kerr being one of them. And you've got Courtney Vine also coming in. Again, standing there with Tony Gustafsson. And I can sense that the fans, more than 75,000 in favor of Australia, are sensing the type of move that this could happen. Got Brun, Vangsgaard, rough touch there by Bali Sagar, rough trip up there by Razzo. Van Egmond continues going forward, cleared there by Boya. I'm surprised that was not a foul there. A tough takedown on Razzo. I believe she is still down. Is that true? No, she's gone up, but tough cookie. That was a tough challenge. Harder, able to get it back, but Carpenter to track back, wins it for the Matildas. They fight on the end or on the touchline, and it's a foul there. Becca Welsh has to calm down Harder, and now she'll call her over. call her over, and then I believe we're going to see the substitutions. But again, some nasty challenges, but more importantly, these are the types of moments that get you hyped for the Women's World Cup. She was out with a calf injury, but now Australia's darling, the face of the team, the face of the country, and the face of this 2023 Women's World Cup is heading onto the pitch. Captain's armband on her left arm. A high five and hug with Razzo. Sam Kerr, the Chelsea woman, is back out on the pitch with full avail. Emily Van Egmond will also head off for Courtney Vine, who will check back in. But you can tell the momentum's now with Australia. About 10 minutes post stoppage time. Let's see what Kerr can do. With an Australia crowd that came in packed, and again, hopefully to see this team in the semifinals, a lot of great options against either England, Colombia, or Jamaica, if they get that far. First, they got to see out Denmark, and then it's either France or Morocco in the quarterfinals. Vangsgaard crossed in, headed away. Good work there by the Australian center backs, and Thompson's rebound is fired back out of play. Looks like the Danes will be countering with a couple moves of their own. That is number 7, Sana Trossegard. So the most capped player when it comes to the women on the squad. Second overall in terms of Danish history. And you also have Emma Snerla checking back in. Snerla got some few moments. I don't think she has started. Again, quote me if I'm wrong, but I don't think she has started. Kerr could not get the ball out there with now it's Thompson. Vangsgaard deflected, ball stays in play. And Cooney Cross will recover. Last touched off Thompson. Pardon me, it's last touched off Cooney Cross. So now we'll see the changes. Got 7 and 8 and 6 and 9 coming up. So kind of the common joke. Why did 6 run away from 7, 7, 8, 9? So 6 and 9 are off, 7 and 8 are on. So that is Karen Holmgaard and Emily Vangsgaard are off, and in their place will be 7 and 8. So Trossegard in the midfield, Snerla up top. Thompson with the swinger back in. Bruin couldn't get a touch to it. Guy gives chase as Carpenter sends it forward. Australia maybe on a counter going forward. Here's Vine. Vine was cut away there by Vea. Throw in. But you can tell that if Australia can get the ball to Sam Kerr, not that it really matters, but just for the hope of this team, and already for a team that's, Charlotte Grant got a lot of good training moments. Ivy Buke is out of the concussion protocol. Team that's starting to look more like 100%. Team starting to look more and more like the number 10 team in FIFA, if not better, especially knowing that the top 10 teams that have bid adieu to this Women's World Cup already. 4 of them, in fact. Canada, Brazil, Germany out on the group stage. United States out on the round of 16. Cooney Cross now with Kerr. Back to goal. Now she'll clip it out to the left and out on the end line. It was a good split pass, but she decided to split her 2 teammates instead. And that's probably what you expect out of Sam Kerr. Is if you need those types of minutes. And I was thinking about this going into the lead up of this match. Was it technically a bad thing that Sam Kerr didn't get the minutes against Canada? Granted, it was 4-0. Like, you probably want to protect her health, but at the same time, she needs those touches in a big moment that go beyond the practice pitch. Because it's one thing. Australia were the favorites going into this match, but against France, that's a toss-up. In my opinion, I got, in my brackets, I got Australia winning that, but I actually got Australia winning it all in one bracket. But you never know, right? We never know what could end up happening. Booted forward, able to find Harder. Hand play through towards Bruin, and either way, the offside flag has gone up. This one booted again. Aloft forward, and Thompson to knock it out. Throw in again for the Aussies. 5.5 minutes plus stoppage time left to see this one out. Again, an Australian side that has struggled for a long time. And again, it shows too. They've only faced Denmark once at this tournament, the Women's World Cup. That was back in 1995 when Denmark won 5-0. Yeah, you're that right. 5-0 in that matchup. And that one too was in Sweden, so relatively close to Denmark. Not necessarily that much of a home game, but again, Denmark a few hundred miles away from Sweden, Australia a few thousand miles away from Sweden. And now the Aussies with a chance to host, they've gotten their revenge 28 years later. Or so we think right now. Long ball sent forward by Boya, trying to find Brun, headed up. Harder, first time shot will go wide. But yeah. Got a good round of 16 matchup tomorrow. Colombia against Jamaica. Again, two teams that nobody expected to be in the knockouts. And Colombia able to beat out Germany, Morocco, and South Korea for that first spot. That too, beating Colombia. So it gets 6 points. And then you have Jamaica, who held both Brazil and France scoreless. One of the few teams left in this Women's World Cup that have yet to allow a goal. Against Switzerland was one of them. They allowed 5 of them against Spain. So let's see how the Jamaicans fare against Colombia. Again, great stories from both sides. You have Colombia, again, after not being much overall, they've got Copa America Femenina. Meanwhile, Sam Kerr inside the box. Kerr shot over the bar. And again, you think about it. Sam Kerr automatically getting the wheels turning again. With a great turn on the ball. Again, a great throw in by Carpenter as well, as Kerr's able to break away from Boya. Not a good day to be Boya and Balisagar right now. Your day has gotten worse for the next 3 minutes plus stoppage time. Again, not too much, but it's still quite a long time. Ball falls towards Brun. Brun. Laid off. Hasbo. Out towards Guile. Guile, right-footed cross. Almost found Brun. Catley headed up. Fowler, the check. Forward to skip around and send it back towards Sam Kerr. Forward on the left. What can she do? Going forward. Trying to split both Boya and Thompson. Failed to do so. Like with Boya rather. Oh, how about that flick from Harder? Out towards Trossegard. Harder to get the ball back. Laid off by Trossegard. Both of them on side for now. Again, that could be checked. Trossegard inside the box and now cleared away. A good chance there for the Danes between their captain and the most capped player on this active roster. How the back heel flick too by Harder. And then Trossegard to get the ball. Understand the space, but again, the Danes unable to turn in a goal. Good change as Thompson sends us into the box, headed up by Kennedy. Cleared out by Cooney Cross. Edge of the box now. A long shot, and that's knocked away. Worth an effort from distance. Is Vea. Boya at midfield. Popped out towards Hasbo. Hasbo lengthened it and caressed easily by Arnold. Looks like we'll see another change for the Aussies. Number 4, Claire Polkinghorne. And Polkinghorne, most capped player in Australia's history. So the veterans making some appearances. Again, for Denmark, too, probably a bid farewell. Knowing how they played, though, we will probably see them, at the very least, they should do well at the 2025 Women's Euros, even if we don't see them at the 2027 Women's World Cup. As a long ball's played out towards Caitlin Ford on the left, Sam Kerr entering towards the box. Ford now will enter at the edge of the box herself. Shot from distance, pipped up. Thompson with the head back. Kerr went down. That's a dangerous slip, too. It's right towards her ACL area, but nonetheless, she's able to get up. That was dangerous. Gory, she's 25 yards out. Her shot will skip wide. Scary moments there for Australia. Sam Kerr, again. Now, it was a calf injury, so if it were to be an injury, it would be unrelated to the one that kept her out of the group stage. But, ooh, the way she leans back to that's ugly to watch. It's probably a good thing that you're listening to me talk about it and not actually seeing it. So change here. Mary Fowler will head off. She had the assist to the first goal from Caitlin Ford. Claire Polkinghorn heading on in her presence. So three changes so far. Mary Fowler again, the Manchester City lady. Ladies playing in England showing up today. So you got Caitlin Ford playing for Arsenal, and then you got the Real Madrid lady, Haley Razzo. Vea cleared out, and Carpenter again barreling down the right. Oh, good flick there on Brun. Into the box. Can't find Ford. She will track back to get this. Australia might be wanting to add the cherry on top. Catley sent in. Play continues as Vea heads it back towards Guile. 5 minutes of stoppage time, by the way. We're about a little less than a minute through it. As a hurdle forward by Carpenter. Back with Kerr. Ford on the left. Now to Ford. Cutting inside. Left off again towards Gory. Cooney Cross thought about the shot. Now it's out towards Carpenter. She takes a shot. And that's a little like it was off the woodwork, but untroubling for Lana Christensen. It was actually off one of the beams behind the goal. So that was the deflection there. Christensen with another goal kick forward, turning into a beautiful Monday night in Sydney, Australia. 75,000 in attendance for Australia's first knockout win, and again, a pretty good record. Their only loss in a knockout stage match, and I think about the last few tournaments they played in. 2019, they drew Norway. Technically, they drew Norway, but they lost the penalty shootout 4-1. 2015, beat Brazil. 2016, they were out. As this one is a good turn there. Out with Trossegard on the right, clipped up, caught by Arnold. And it looks like for Trossegard and the Danish, again, for a lot of these players, first appearance, actually for all of these players, first time at the Women's World Cup. First time the Danes have made their appearance here since 2007. If you want to see what was happening in 2007, that was when the first iPhone came out, and I was 3 years old. A long time ago. Flipped. Hunt. And now to Arnold again. We'll boot this out on the right. It's been a long time, and it gives you got to give credit to Denmark in that situation to be historic, to send this team back to a place, back to a glory land that basically all of Scandinavia was in the 1990s, where despite the U.S. being very good and continuing to be very good, they've been like the one region of the world which was really a great stalwart to building the game, right? As we see another good run there by Vine, taken back there. And chances galore, as it's now with Trossegard. On the right again. Can Denmark get a nice consolation? Thompson in, trying to find options, but that's poked away. The Aussies trying to get Mackenzie Arnold a clean sheet here as Vea sends it back, and it's caught by the Australian netminder. About a minute and a half left in this one. And I guess Walsey Matilda should probably be playing right about now. Tony Gustafsson looks like he'll be making one more change. As it's Tamika Yalop. I do give credit, though, to Gustafssons, because a lot of these names did not play against Canada, did not play in general. So you're at this point where almost everybody in the 23 player roster is making an appearance in this tournament, which is a great thing. Arnold just plays it out. It will be a throw in for Denmark in their attacking third. For Australia, a curtain call for Caitlin Ford. Her goal started off the scoring in the 29th minute to get her 30th for her country. Historic for the records. Historic in this one. A curtain call from 75,000 as she heads off. And heading on will be Tamika Yallop, who will be making, to my knowledge, one of her first appearances, if not her first appearance at this tournament. Five minutes through, Rebecca Welch's whistle could blow any moment right now. Everybody on their feet. What is right now a great result. Play continues as Balisager sends it forward. That's headed up for a while. Headed back by Cootie Cross. Another chance. And that's skied. One last kick of the ball. Maybe not even. And with that, 90 minutes through here from Stadium Australia. And the Matildas keep on waltzing. A 2-0 victory over the Danes. Started off in the 29th minute with Caitlin Ford. And then in the 71st, it was Haley Razzo who played hero against Canada to get the insurance goal. And more importantly, their captain is back out on the pitch as Sam Kerr got a few good moments and a few good looks since checking back with a good shift of about 15 to 20 minutes. We could see her starting in a quarterfinal against France or Morocco later in this tournament. So the Aussies are back to the quarterfinals, facing against either France or Morocco. And again, as I said earlier, England beating Nigeria. So it's now down to the final two games. First off with Colombia, Jamaica, the winner facing England, and then France and Morocco. I'm Mihir Sinhasan. Thanks for tuning in to my YouTube live reacts to the 2023 Women's World Cup. I will be on for Colombia, Jamaica tomorrow. So tune in. But for now, so long, stay safe, and have a great day.